what you asked for. Be careful what you ask for. You want it out. Our relationship is past gone. You chose the next man thinking that he had more. So tell me, what's the reason I should take you back for? That's what you asked for.
I keep wanting to say Jay Fury because that's what you do.
Well, you know.
Like what? Okay, with that, like what do you prefer people call you? Fury
now it's Jelani Lateef. I mean, Jay Fury is the name I went by for a long time, so a lot of people still know me as that. But Jelani Lateef is actually the artist name that I go by now because my music has kind of really evolved and it's a lot more personal. So I kind of got away from the stage name, so to speak, and actually use my actual real name.
You've been making music for a while. You've been on the scene, you know, off and on for a while, and people are just now starting to take notice. Like, does that bother you, or how do you feel about that? Like,
it doesn't bother me at all. I'm thankful that they are starting to take notice. So, you know, everything happens in its time, and so for me, just to be able to make music and have people genuinely appreciate it, identify with it is cool. So I feel like, you know, it was all worth it, the time, the effort, and everything that was put into it to get me to this point. It was all worth it. I was reading about Morgan Freeman. Actually, it was watching him on television, and he was just talking about his career didn't really take off until he was 50 years old. And many times along the way, he had contemplated quitting. So, you know, look at where he is now, I'm sure he has no regrets about the path that he had to take and the time that it took. And it's the same thing for me. I'm just thankful, period, to have people identify and connect with what I do. So whether it was 10 years ago or now, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm happy that people appreciate what I do.
Your records are more on a positive note. Is that something that you consciously pay attention to, or is it something that just happens when you make your music?
Well, the kind of music I make is really an extension of me, so it's not as strategic, or I don't go in there purposely trying to go in a different direction. Sometimes when I get beats and when I get music to write to, I just write what I'm feeling at the time. And so the type of individual I am, I'm real laid back, I'm just that kind of guy. So naturally my music is going to be a reflection of that. It's me kind of expressing my inner thoughts, my inner spirit, and it comes out in the music.
Hip-hop is big in a bad rap. Like, how do you feel about the state of hip-hop right now? Like,
to me, hip-hop has always gotten a bad rap. If you go back to the beginning, it was, oh, that's not real music, those aren't real artists, where are the musicians? You know, some of the elders at the time, what's that noise? You know, it's a fad, it's not going anywhere. You know, you look at the things that artists like NWA, when they came on the scene, and the message, it was so aggressive and so explicit, you know, that got publicized as representing rap as a whole. You had 2 Live Crew, the things that they went through, you know, so to me it's always gotten a bad rap, but that's because there's a conscious effort, I think, by media to dwell on the negative aspects. There's just as much positivity in hip-hop now as it's always been. It's just that the emphasis is put on the negative, and the more positive aspect of it kind of gets buried.
what would you say is your favorite record?
Right now, I would say the material that I've recorded recently is the best material I've ever recorded, because I'm a lot more seasoned in the studio, a lot more experienced. It's just a certain vibe and energy that's coming out now that I've never had before. So I recently released my single Forward Advance. I actually got a video out for that, and that right now is my favorite song that I've ever done. It's the vibe of it, the energy, the message, the delivery, everything came together perfectly. So that song is hands down my favorite that I have right now.
Like, when you was writing that song, like what was your mind state, or what was going on at the time?
At that time, I was actually at a transitional phase in my life. I had gone through some pretty serious hardships, and it was kind of a thing of, okay, what are you gonna do now? And so that's what came out of me. I'm all about forward advance. I'm about moving forward. I have to let the past be the past. I have to bury it, let it go,
the scene or the talk of in Chicago is that it's like kind of hard to get on here and all that, and with the exceptions of like the Kanyes and the Commons and Twisters and recently Chief Keef. Why do you think it's so hard for Chicago artists, or you know, as opposed to like New York and LA? Like, you know, why do you think it's so hard?
Well, when you talk about New York and LA, I mean, that's kind of the music scene was set up there. I mean, it was established there. So for a long time, Chicago, as far as hip hop and even R&B to a degree, was not. They came here to break their artists, but there really wasn't any place for us to go to get deals and things like that. But outside of that, I would say that based on my observations, other regions, especially in the South, they tend to be more supportive of local artists. They tend to identify those that okay, that's the hot one right now, so we're going to all rally behind that one. And then when they get on, they'll come back and they bring other artists on. In Chicago, it's a lot more segregated. It's a lot more race to the top kind of mentality. So you have all of these artists with their individual support groups who are rallying strictly behind them, and so therefore there's no one kind of being put out to the forefront and saying, okay, we're going to get this artist through the door, and then they'll come back and they'll bring others in. It's just kind of that dog eat dog, every man for themselves, race to the top mentality.
Any artist that in the world or in any genre that you could work with, like if there was any artist, who would be that artist?
Number one would be Stevie Wonder, hands down. I'd love to get in the studio with him, have him write something soulful, a nice little hook, and then me kind of come behind that. I was actually jealous when Busta Rhymes pulled that off, but that's the number one artist I would love to work with. That is who I idolize as just an overall artist.
If people wanted to check you out or listen to your songs or you know, learn more about Jelani Lateef,
on Twitter it's at JLateef, JYLATEF. Facebook is still under J Fury. If you go out to YouTube, I have like 8 or 9 videos out there now, and so there's material under J Fury, there's material under Jelani Lateef.
So yeah, with that, is there anything you want to leave the people with?
You know what? I just want to say thank you to all who have supported me to this point and who have given me the opportunity to do what I do and have shown genuine appreciation and love for it. And that keeps me motivated to continue going down the path that I'm going and making the kind of music that I'm making, is to know that people have identified with it and have acknowledged that to me unbiasedly, that they genuinely love what I do. So I just want to say thank you to all my supporters and those that have continued to keep me going.
I'm all about a forward advance. If you really want to ride, I'ma show you the plan. You haters want to try, where you know where I am. Bring your soldiers, let's ride, cause you the one that's ready to die. See, I'm all about a forward advance. If you really want to ride, I'ma show you the plan. You haters want to try, where you know where I am. Bring your soldiers, let's ride, cause you the one that's ready to die. My baby girl motivate me to move. Even when I'm frustrated, I gotta keep a table with food.